Welcome to the Fancy Thinker. I'm Jared Quartermanch, and today I'm going to be doing my January 2024 update. Um, I have some new intro music. I hope you enjoy that. It's kind of ominous and epic. Feels like fantasy, and there is a story behind it, which I will reveal in a future time. But for now, what did I finish off in December? Quite a few things. I decided to actually start reading more short stories because I wanted to broaden my horizon and my horizons, and I also wanted, and I also missed the short story form. That's what I studied mostly, and it's what I used to write a long time ago. So I really enjoy short stories. They're a slightly different form than your long form novels, but they are just important nevertheless, and in their own thing. They had to be a bit more economic in word choice. They got to be a bit more succinct to the point, and they have to be able to wrap up a theme very quickly. And so I took this. I'm going to be doing short stories regularly. And so, what did I read in December? First things first, I finished off Ursula Le Guin's The Tombs of Tuin. This was a wonderful read. I was very pleasantly surprised by how much I liked this book and how deep it was and the themes running through it. And I did a review on it, so check out that review on The Tombs of Tuin. I really liked it a lot, Ursula Le Guin, and hopefully I'll be getting to the next book in that series soon. Um, what I thought was going to be a fun little romp actually had a little bit more to it than I thought. This is Hellboy in Love. The I got this nice hardcover that collects the series from Dark Horse Comics, and I thought this was going to be like a little short piece of like a funny anecdotal type stuff, dealing with Hellboy falling in love or something like that. But actually, it was a pretty deep, cool story of him getting into the usual stuff that he gets into, fighting supernatural monsters and what have you. So it was actually really cool. As always, the artwork by Matt Smith is really good. I mean, it's not Mike Mignola, for which we know Hellboy for, but he is an accomplished artist on his own, and so I really like that. Um, Also, what I finished in December was "The Stars My Destination" by Alfred Bester, and that was part of my read along on page chewing for the Sci-Fi Masterworks collection. Had a blast reading that one. You can check out my review and the discussion we did on it um, on my channel here. So that was a lot of fun to read that. And I also finished off in December. Um, ah, Overdue by Mark Lawrence, the companion novella to The Book That Wouldn't Burn. It was a really cool short novella that actually uh, gave you some insight into the magical library. So if you read The Book That Wouldn't Burn, do yourself a favor and read Overdue. It's a lot of fun, and it really gives you some more ideas about that world he created and what's going on. So check that out. The big one I finished in December was Bold Ascension by Vaughn Roycroft, who was so kind to send me this advanced reader copy, and I appreciate that so much. And this was a great read. Um, Check my review on this, and check out the first book in the series, The Severing Son of this Sundered Nation trilogy, if you haven't yet. And that was my self-published read of the month for December. What else did I read in December? I also read, like I said, some short stories. I read a short story called House Taken Over by Julio Cortazar. Um, and I read that at the urging of Livia from Page Chewing. And she also has a YouTube channel, which I'll link below. But there'll be a podcast about this in the future sometime. But this short story was pretty interesting, very haunting take on a house. So haunted house, but quite unique and very short. Translated by Paul Blackburn. You can find this short story online if you just Google it. And so, once again, House Taken Over by Julio Cortazar. That's a really good one. I also started reading short stories out of this book called Swords and Dark Magic, um, which is a really neat collection of books. The first book I read was by Steven Erickson, and it was called Goats of Glory. And of course, it takes place in the Malazan world. And I thought it was a trip. I enjoyed this story a lot. It had this kind of Western feel almost, where they go into this town and these soldiers, Malazan soldiers, and they go into this town and strange things are afoot, basically. His ironic and twisted and exciting take on this type of story was just outstanding. I had a lot of fun reading that. I also read a story called I think it's Tides Elba. It's a Tale of the Black Company by Glenn Cook, and I had never read the Black Company before, so it was very interesting getting into this type of writing by Glenn Cook, and I had a good time with it. So it just brings my hopes up that I'm going to enjoy the Black Company when I get around to it, hopefully sometime this year. And I also read a story called Bloodsport by Gene Wolfe out of this collection, and that was interesting and a lot of fun as well. And it also introduced me a little bit to Gene's Wolfe's writing, and I do hopefully plan to get to the Book of the New Sun at some point. I have a feeling the Book of the New Sun is going to be a lot more involved and complex than the short story was, but I had a good time with his writing as well. So it's good to know that I'm going to enjoy both Glenn Cook and Gene Wolfe's writing when I do get around to reading their larger works. So that's all I read so far out of that collection. I will continue reading short stories out of that collection as we move on. I also read a short story out of this book, Tales Before Tolkien. This is a very interesting collection of short stories that, of course, were written long before Tolkien wrote The Lord of the Rings, and which may or may not have influenced Tolkien in one way or another. The short story I wrote was called The Elves by Ludwig Tieck, or Teich, or something like that. Uh, German name, translated by Thomas Carlyle. It's called The Elves, and it was written way back in 1812. So that was a very interesting take on. It's kind of like a fairy tale type of story, and it was yeah, it was a trip to read that because you really see the differences in writing style from that time and how people thought back then, and but also how it evolved into future stuff beyond that time period. So very interesting short story out of there. What else did I also finish off in December? I think that's it. So moving into January, I actually already finished off something in January, and that is The Old Man in the Sea by Ernest Hemingway. What a powerful short novel. It's actually like a long novella. I don't know. It's like 120 pages or something like that. But it was a powerful read. It was interesting. It gripped you from the start. There was tension throughout, and I really liked it. And I'm going to be having a talk about this book on Book Think number 6 coming soon with a very special guest that I can't wait to talk to. So you'll have to tune in for that. All right. So that was the start of my January. What else am I reading right now? Of course, I am continuing my month to month comparison of Assassin's Apprentice. Uh, Dark Horse Comics started up again with Assassin's Apprentice 2, number 1, which they should have called number 7. But anyways, and it goes right along with Assassin's Apprentice, the novel. And so I'm continuing my side-by-side comparison of those. Of course, I am also continuing on with my Malazan reread, so I am in the middle of Orb Scepter Throne right now. About 2/3 of the way done that. So whenever that's done, I'll tell you about that. I am also doing the read along on Page Doing for Jenny Wirtz's The Wars of Light and Shadow. We are reading Grand Conspiracy right now, so I got the first 3 chapters of that done. That is just brilliant as always. This series, it's going to be up there as one of the greatest of all time, and it's awesome. So do yourself a favor and dive into that series if you haven't yet. I am also reading it with a read along on a Discord channel, urged on by Dan at the Black and Blue Collar Reader. The Spear Cuts Through Water by Simon Jimenez. And I read I'm in the second section in this book right now, and I'm having a good time with that. That's been a very interesting take on viewpoints and perspectives and what have you. So really enjoying that so far. And what else am I reading in January? Oh, what else am I reading right now? Yes, I am reading Wistful Ascending by Joe Byrne, JCM Byrne, and I'm having a good time with that. That is a superhero sci-fi fantasy story, and it's a lot of fun. I gotta say, I'm having a good time with this story, and I can't wait to finish this one off. I think I only got about like 100 pages like that. It's not that long. It's only like 400 pages, and so I'm in the middle of reading that right now, and I'm having a good time with that. And what else am I reading in January? Yeah, I'll continue on with a short story from Swords and Dark Magic. I may continue on with a short story from Tales Before Tolkien. Um, and yeah, that about covers what I'm reading now. What am I reading upcoming here in the future? I plan to also get to these in January. I'm going to be doing, as part of the Sci-Fi Masterworks read along, I'll be reading Babel 17 by Samuel Delany. So that's a fairly short sci-fi masterwork classic. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm going to be reading a couple of short stories out of Stories of Your Life by Ted Chiang, and so I'm looking forward to those. Um, that's upcoming in January as well. In the future, whenever I finish off Orb Scepter Throne, I'll be delving into Dust of Dreams as part of my Malazan reread. So that is upcoming. And also on the shelf is a bunch of stuff, of course. Oh, yes. I got this book right here. Sorry about that. Chinese Myths and Folktales. So this is a nice little edition my son got me for Christmas, and I think it's the Barnes and Noble collection. The sprayed edges and stuff like that. Very beautiful, and I'm hoping to. They have little short um, folk tales and fairy tales from Chinese folklore, and yeah, I want to read a few of these here and there. So that was kind of like my book haul, I guess. So I think that covers everything for my update for January. So if you're reading along with any of these, um, if you if you want to join any of these read-alongs, join pagechewing.com. Go ahead and do so. One thing coming up that I might be rereading is The Fade Out by Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips. Might be doing that as well as part of a read along on Page Chewing. And yeah, so that's all the stuff I have going on. I hope that's enough for you. uh, all right, so let me know what you're reading this month. Let me know how you're doing. And above all, be good to each other. Thank you.